fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds, like Slam Shady, coming at you. Got the whole crew on here talking about Slam Shady going global. Yes, it's in Bass Pro right now. It's in Academy. I believe it's now supposed to be in Walmart. It's in tackle stores all over America. And it's even now, I'm seeing people posting Slam Shady pics in Australia. So, Z-Man has a monster presence over there in Australia. And now there are people in Australia catching fish on Slam Shady. So I think as of right now, today we're recording this, we're at documented 86 different species caught on the Slam Shady proprietary color. I don't know how we're going to keep track because we've been documenting this ourselves. So we have it all on an online Google file. Now that it's over there, I don't even know how we're going to keep track of it. But man, just absolute craziness. And I'm going to warn you up front, if you see me bolt, I am halfway through this bottle of magnesium citrate. So for you older gentlemen out there, you'll know why I'm taking it. A little colonoscopy tomorrow. Sign number 72 that I'm getting old. So just let you guys know, you might see me bolting to the door. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about some Slam Shady. So Wyatt, Austin, Luke, Tony, dude, what do you got? All of them there, Luke?
Oh, there's one of each. We have 5. These are the paddle tails. So 5 different paddle tails. As of right now, they all work. They all have their purpose. And so we'll kind of go through all that.
And now some jerk shads as well.
Yep, jerk shad just came out.
Let me Tony's got one. Let me show real quick here. How do I share? I don't even know how to do it right here. It's not letting me do it. But I was going to share some pics. Did you guys see the picture of Dave Flad? He's the founder of Ice Strike. You see that redfish that he caught?
It was a beast of redfish.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Nuts. Monster. And that was on that little 4-inch Slam Shady jerk shad Z. Absolutely nuts. So let's go back in time and talk about where this came about. Then we're going to talk about rigging. We're going to talk about all the different types. I've got a bunch of different packs here myself. So the different Slam Shadies that are out there, they all have one thing in common, the proprietary and trademarked color. But there are some subtle differences. I know guys like Austin, you like one over the rest for the majority of your fishing, especially in a little bit darker water. And in Jacksonville, and Wyatt, you're over there in Texas now, and I saw you just had personal best trout.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I caught just this past weekend, went out with it was the Z-Man version of the Minnow Z, the 4-inch, and just, fishing it kind of slow and picked one up right over a grass flat. And we'll talk about the differences, depending on the situation that we're fishing, which Slam Shady I would rather go with. But that was the right one for the scenario. I managed to pick off a 26.5-inch gator trout. Man, it was like one of the fattest trout I've ever seen at 26 inches. So yeah, well, I'm sure we'll put some pictures up in the post, but I was very blessed to catch that fish.
It was a monster.
On the Slam Shady.
Oh, Slam Shady. And then Tony broke the internet back. This is 2 years ago now. Remember your first time fishing with the Slam Shady. That was the 3-inch, the little guy, and elephants do eat little peanuts on an owner twist lock hook. And that was a 40+ inch redfish, right?
Yeah, that at the time, that was the biggest I've caught on artificial. And then it was last year I caught another one on it was a Paddler Z, the 5-inch Paddler Z. And I caught another 40+ inch red on that one. So they've caught my biggest on artificial so far.
And that's all that guy, Travis Anderson there. He's in Vero Beach, not too far from where you fish, Tony. That's all he uses is the 5-inch scented Slam Shady. And that sucker works. So, all right, go back in time. So we talked with Z-Man originally. Now, we've got our own Slam Shadies, the 2.0s and the Bombers, but it all started with Z-Man. And Z-Man was nice enough to entertain this idea of coming out with a perfect color. And although we've talked a million times about the most important thing, obviously, is being in the feeding zone, right? There's no magic lure that's just going to have fish jumping in your boat. But if you want an advantage, when you are in a good area where there's fish, we wanted to create a lure color that would just give you basically an advantage, right? Something that we knew fish would strike based on science and just based on other anglers. So at the time, we had about 12,000 members in our insider club. We're now at the 20,000 mark, which is amazing. But at the time, we had about 12,000 members, and we put it out there to all of them. This is after we had read a bunch of books about underwater science and what fish really see. And by the way, fish don't see the same thing that we see in a tackle store, right? I mean, that's the ongoing joke. Because I remember some people putting Facebook, oh, well, these things don't even look real. Like, does a gold spoon look real? No. I mean, just some of these live target things look really real, and they're horrible. I'm not going to throw live target completely on the bus, but there's a couple of their lures that look so stinking real, and I can't catch a fish on them to save my life. And yet you got things like a gold spoon or a little Slam Shady that just keep working over and over and over again. So we wanted to come up with this perfect lure. We read all the books on science. We get our 12,000 members to give input. And guess what we heard? The number one thing by far in terms of a color was white/pearl, some type of white bait. And that was from Texas to Florida, all the way up to New Jersey. Like, if I can only have one color all year long just to fish and consistently catch fish, some type of white. So we all agreed like that was, and this is from Full-Time Fishing Guides, everyone said white was at the top if they can only have one color. And then we heard a lot of people talking about gold and silver having some type of flash. We already got the vibration in the tail, but they wanted some type of flash. And you know, there's an ongoing debate even about the gold and silver spoons. They've both been around for centuries. They both keep catching fish. We're like, what if we could combine these two, you know, flashy gold and silver into this white? And we played around with it. We went back and forth with Z-Man. They would make a little prototype for us in it. We fish it, and we finally like got it. Like, as soon as we saw this, and I mean, instantly we were catching fish. I think, Luke, you were living in Bokeely at the time, and we're catching tarpon right off your back porch using the little Slam Shady. We're like, this is
yeah, I was just playing around in the canal. I just put the paddleboard in, get some exercise and some tarpon rolling. And I was casting all sorts of lures with these tarpon. They're driving me crazy. They would not hit anything. They're rolling right in my face, just laughing at me. And yeah, the very first day I was testing out, this is the 3-inch one, the Minnow Z. I was casting. It was like my third or fourth cast, and I was reeling up for like a tarpon rolled further up, and I was reeling in real fast to get a cast to it. And a tarpon literally, as I was pulling the paddle tail out of the water, it came out of the water, ate it in the air, actually set the hook while the tarpon's in the air. The whole thing's on GoPro. It was amazing. And I ended up landing it too. And so it was like, I was just blown away that not only the tarpon eat, but it was like jumped out of the water to get it. It was really cool. And then proceeded to just have a really good time on the flats with snook reds and trout.
Yep.
So it is now like, it's really all I use for paddle tails.
Yep. So we get it. Our boy Nick, one of our team members, helps come up with a name, because we're trying to think, all right, something flashy, you know, because the gold and silver and also white. And he's like, what about Slam Shady? You know, kind of the Slim Shady is a white rapper. If you guys don't know Eminem, Slim Shady's his nickname. He's a white rapper, kind of flashy and shiny. And of course, we are all in the Catch an Inshore Slam. So it was like, as soon as he said it, like rolled off the tongue, we're like, that's it. So we named it, got the thing. It's actually a registered trademark. You know, that took 8 months to get that approved with the USPTO. And in that time, we're selling so many of these, like we're blowing Z-Man like up. They're like, are you guys seriously out again? Like, how is this possible? Like, this has never been done before. And to kind of give you an idea of what we sold, I'm not going to share exact numbers because Z-Man doesn't want us to, but they don't mind if we share that this was the Slam Shady color was the number one top selling color last year, really over a 10, 12 month period. It was a little bit crazy because of COVID, but it was the number one selling color. Actually, I guess I was into 2019, 2020, the number one selling color for this Minnow Z in the entire world. So this one, and we were the only one that had it. So only Salt Strong could sell this at the time. And so we sold more of this color than any other color in the entire spectrum of Z-Man, Minnow Z, in the entire world. So we outsold Bass Pro just ourselves on this one color. And it wasn't because we're just great salespeople. It's because the thing worked, right? I mean, if you look online, it's every day there are new testimonials going up. We're not paying these people. We keep selling them. People keep catching them, and they keep coming back to buy more. That's why we had that free offer. And if you haven't taken advantage of it, still do it. It's still out there. It's slamshady.com. we're so confident we give a free pack away because we know every single person comes back to buy more and or joins us in our insider club where they buy more and save even more money because they get 20% off all of the Slam Shady products. So that's kind of the big picture of what happened. Fast forward to right now, because it is in Bass Pro, which is the title of this podcast, and it's worldwide now. Z-Man reaches out to us because this has sold so well, and it continues to be like their top requested color because only Salt Strong had it. And they gave us a proposition to license it from us. So we still own Slam Shady, always have, always will. It's a registered trademark from us. So this is our proprietary color, and they are now licensing it from us. So we're still able to do the Slam Shady 2.0s, the Slam Shady Bombers, and anything else that we come up with. And they have the exclusive rights on all their Z-Man products to do the Slam Shady color and distribute it however the heck they want to as a licensing royalty to us. So just letting you guys know exactly how it's all working. And there's been a lot of confusion. People saying, hey man, did they steal it from you? I saw it's in Bass Pro. I know why that big trout you caught, you actually bought the pack in a tackle store there in Texas, right?
Yeah, over at Roy's Tackle Shop. It seems like they're popular there. That was literally the last pack on the shelf at Roy's of those 4-inch diesel minnows. But they were in the tackle shop. I got those in store. First time I've ever bought Slam Shadys outside of the Salt Strong site.
Too funny. Yeah. So just to set it straight, Z-Man is not stealing from us. There's nothing shady going on. Get it, pun intended. They are actually licensing it from us. It's a partnership with Z-Man. We absolutely love Z-Man. And we're so pumped that they're helping us get that out there. And you'll even see on the pack, like if you're in Bass Pro, you'll see it here. And that's how you know it says to Slam Shady, how to rig for more strikes. Go to saltstrong.com/Slam Shady. So that is all in a partnership we have with Z-Man. So hopefully that kind of sums things up on where it started, how it started, why this thing just exploded, because there's never a perfect lure, right? And we're never going to say there is. It just doesn't exist. Otherwise, there'd just be one lure. However, if we can only pick one lure color, and there's always just that confidence bait or that confidence color, just something that's consistent wherever you go. Like I'm going to Georgia in another week. Guess what I'll be taking with me? A little Slam Shady. I mean, the bass absolutely inhale it. So it's just that one lure. It's both the profile and it's that color with the right amount of flash and the white, which is the only color in the entire spectrum that takes on the color of the water underwater, just like a normal bait fish does. And so like this is the lure that we always, for the most part, start with. Doesn't mean we don't change things up. Doesn't mean we don't do live bait. Doesn't mean we don't chum the heck out of an area sometimes and use a net. But this is like our go-to lure. And now we're pumped that we have all these different molds to try it on. So I'd love to hear from you guys, your kind of your favorites, different ways that you've rigged it. There's obviously some pros and cons. The Z-Man material, super, super tough, right? But it's also super tough to rig sometimes. Whereas like the Slam Shady Bomber and the 2.0 is on normal plastic, not going to last as long, but super, super easy to rig. I know, Austin, you love just keeping stuff kind of on longer term and not having to worry about it. I know you can still do the same thing with Z-Man, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on pros and cons. What's your favorite Slam Shady mold right now? Who wants to start?
My favorite. Oh, sorry, Jay. What'd you say?
Oh yeah, go for it. I was gonna see who wanted to start there. Why I take a little swig of magnesium citrate while you guys talk amongst yourselves.
That's trouble. Joe might be bailing out pretty soon.
My go-to is the Bomber 100%. I just love these bigger baits for one. Bigger baits, bigger fish, maybe. And then also these guys are really dense. You can really feel them when you're reeling them in. You can feel those paddles in the tail, which means more vibrations. And since I'm in a murky water region, I want to get as much vibration, in most cases, not all cases, but as much vibration as I can get. And the Bomber does just that. It's outperformed pretty much every other bait I've used so far. You guys have seen the video. I had a lot of fun with Dad that day. But also, don't get me wrong, I love Z-Man material, but rigging it on every hook, not always possible. So like a twist lock hook, you might have some trouble getting it on the hook. And so I like to use these harder plastic baits that aren't as spongy as Z-Man a lot of the times, just because they're going to be more versatile. You can use them on pretty much any hook, and you don't have to struggle getting them on or anything like that. But don't get me wrong, I do love some Z-Man baits.
Sounds like you got to watch Tony's video on how to rig a Z-Man on an owner twist like hook. Super helpful.
Yeah, I've seen it. I love it. It was a great hack.
So let's talk about the bomber real quick, just because I want to. One other purpose of this podcast is to clear up any confusion about all these different Slam Shadies. So it's one proprietary color, right? So everyone gets that. The bomber is a 5-inch. Is Austin pointed out? Yeah, there it is with Luke. It's a much denser. It's a bomber because it weighs a little bit more. I mean, you could throw it. You can cast it a country mile, like, especially if you rig it up weedless on that owner 1/8 twist lock hook. It bombs. I'm not talking like you can bomb that thing. Bad news is it's normal plastic. You know, a puffer fish, really even jack ladyfish can knock off the tail. Makes it a little bit less effective versus like the 2.0, which is like a 2-in-1 lure we'll talk about. A lot of people have asked, hey, it does say it's scented. I don't really smell it. So just like the Alabama leprechaun, the bomber is actually infused with some scent. It is not going to be like this stuff, like this. I mean, you can literally see the scent on the Z-Man scented ones. It's because they actually like are pasting on or spraying on Procure. I mean, it's literally on the outside. It does go away over time, whereas ours are infused with it. I don't know which one's better. That's just the way the manufacturer did it for us, where it's infused, injected essentially into the mold. So it does have some scent, but it's not going to be like that. You open up like the 2.0. This has scent on the outside. You know, woo, baby, when you smell a scented lure. So I love it myself. I've caught some monster fish on the bomber, but at the same point, I love the Z-Man just because it lasts so stinking long.
Just to clarify something though, this does work really well after the tail's bitten off too. So it's
have you had luck with it? I haven't.
Yeah, I've caught some really good trout, and it basically without the tail, it's just like the 2.0. The fact that it has a really streamlined front like that. I had it just with the tail off about like so, and it had it on a weighted hook. As long as it's rigged properly, it almost looks like a Zare spook, like one of those corkies underwater where it's got going underwater doing like the walk the dog under, and it's weedless, and it is dynamite to power fish with this, with or without the tail. And super clear water, actually, I actually prefer it without the tail because this almost like too much vibration in some cases. So just to know, if the tails are bitten off, don't throw them away. Keep using them or save them for a clear day. Just cool. Like the smaller ones. That's a huge benefit of the I guess the series that we did custom, where it's the normal soft plastic. They're easier to rig, but they're both super streamlined, so they look really good with and without the tail.
Kind of turn into a TRD, a little turd. Sponsored by Magnesium. All right, who's next?
I can go ahead and talk. I'll go ahead and break because I'll piggyback off of what Austin said, because I was in the Carolinas for a while. I dealt with the same dirty water, and the profile of the bomber was fantastic. It's just a larger presence in the water. It displaces more water, so the fish can sense that presence. And being that these fish are, again, feeding in dirty water, their sense of feel ties into their hunting patterns a lot more than the fish that are hunting in clear water, which are having to rely on sight more. So I find that more vibration and a larger actual body, I tested out those Miramino marsh minnows, or the Miralure marsh minnows, and the fatter bodies seem to be really good. But the bomber is a little bit fatter than those. And I've had some other baits that I've tested. It just seems like larger body profile translates to fish sensing it more. I ended up getting more strikes. The bomber was great for redfish and flounder that were feeding on the bottom, because that heavier body tends to get down a little bit faster into that strike zone. So I liked the bombers a lot when I was going after flounder and I was going after redfish. I didn't have a ton of luck on trout with the bombers. It seemed like more finesse presentations in the Carolinas. Again, I was trying to find some clearer water for those trout when I was fishing in the Carolinas, because I do believe they're a little bit more of a sight predator. Not to say that I didn't catch a ton of trout on the bombers, but I definitely had a little bit more luck on the minnow Z's with some trout, as well as the diesel minnows. Those are really my go-tos, just because they were a little bit, I don't exactly know how to put this into words. Essentially, they just gave a lighter presentation that hung in the strike zone a little bit more. They were tailored a little bit more to how I like to fish for trout, which is using lighter jig heads, allowing that bait to swing through a current rip or around a point, really just using the current to present the bait. And I felt like the bomber took it down a little bit faster, which is great for those redfish and those flounder, because that's where their strike zone is. For trout, I find them feeding a little bit more mid-column, closer to the surface. So the body design of the Z-Mans, which are, again, naturally buoyant, perfectly did exactly what I wanted them to. And then the other pattern that we have, which is these paddler Z's, these 5 inches, these were my number one bait for flounder fishing. I love the bombers, but these were absolutely fantastic, just because as I'm working those bait, they combine the kind of the sink rate of the diesel minnows and the minnow Z's with the larger swing and larger presence of the bomber. It's the perfect combination. And I went after flounder a lot in the Carolinas, and that swing is exactly what those flounder are looking for. Also, the presence of that vibration. Those flounder are sitting on the bottom. They're waiting and feeling for bait to come by. And that paddler Z, as it comes down, it's got such action, and they can see it coming from so far away. That was the bait that I caught the most flounder on. And I've caught flounder with all the different profiles we're talking about, but that paddler Z was my absolute favorite. And I caught a couple of actually broke my PB several times with these paddler Z's. And that white color, and regardless of whether I was fishing some of the clear Carolina waters, or if I was fishing, the dirtiest of dirty waters down in like Fort Fisher, it seemed to produce regardless of water clarity. And, now that I've transitioned over to Texas, I'm catching a ton of fish on these exact same profiles. I find that I'm fishing, them a little bit differently with weedless hooks. And I am going to second Austin's claim that it is a little bit difficult to rig the Z-Mans on those owner twist locks. It's not to say that it can't be done. In fact, that big trout we were talking about, it was an owner twist lock, 1/8 ounce that I had rigged up. It can be done. It's just a little bit of an extra step that you have to take. And for that reason, I do tend to use the 2.0s a little bit more. I just find, to very quickly put a Slam Shady out in the water, I'm going to use those 2.0s. But that's not to say you can't catch fish on the Z-Man versions as well. It just takes a little bit of an extra time to make the pilot hold. Watch Tony's hack video. It's awesome. It explains it really quickly. But just, when I'm trying to be as efficient as I can and save all the time that I can out on the water, I'll usually break out a pack of 2.0s. But as we saw this past weekend with that fish, that's not to say I'm not going to use the diesel minnows as well on those owners. And they all work great. And I would say that just try to figure out how you're fishing for each species and how each of those baits is designed to work, where it excels, where other profiles can possibly beat it, or body designs, not necessarily profiles, because they're all bait fish pattern profiles, but just play around with the different body designs and kind of tailor it to what species you're going after. And you'll find that some actually do work better in specific scenarios.
Cool. Luke, Tony?
Yeah, so I was going to touch on the rigging a little bit, but also recently I've been mainly using the scented paddler Z, the 4 and the 5 inch. And I'm usually using it to sight cast a fish because it has a really good action, but it doesn't have a big tail on it like the Minnow Z or the Diesel Minnow Z or the Bomber does. So you still get a little bit of that vibration, but it has a lot more, movement to it, if that makes sense. But as far as rigging, all I've been using is the owner twist lock hook. And like you guys said, it's really tough to rig it up, but it takes practice. Just like if you're learning how to tie the FG knot, once you learn how to tie it and you're fishing throughout the day, you're good to go. Like, you don't have to change out your leader. Same thing with Z-Man baits. Once you get them on the hook, there's a very rare chance you're going to have to put a new one on. So once you get it on, you're good to go. And like they said, we do have a video. You basically just want to push that bait up all the way onto the spring, pinch it, twist the entire hook while you're holding that spring, and that'll help get it on there. Another thing people do, you have to be a little bit cautious with this one, is to just hold your hook point or the eye of the hook with some pliers. Just get a lighter and just barely touch the spring with the lighter. A little flame on there to heat it up, and it'll go right into the bait.
And I'll just say we touched on, so we have 2 5-inch paddle tails, just to, I think, I'll kind of give some just high level pros cons of the two. So the top one is the bomber. The pros on this is that it casts the furthest. It's dense, it's heavy, it's kind of more back weight. You can see how thick it is toward the tail. It launches. As we'll call the bomber, it absolutely launches. If you're power fishing, if you're just wanting to cover a bunch of water quickly, it's hard to beat this. But then this other one, this is the Paddler Z, the 5-inch. You can look at the difference of the tails, right? This bomber has a much bigger tail. Also, night fishing. When I night fish, I'm using this again for more vibration. Or in murky water, super murky water. This is what I go with. But if you're finesse fishing, like Tony was just talking about, this more slim profile one, where you can see the two together, it is very clear the one on the bottom is a slimmer profile, has a much smaller tail. This is much better for sight fishing. So if it's like really clear water, you're sight fishing, the Paddler Z is the way to go. But if you're out just covering ground, either in murky water or like low light conditions, and it's all about just covering as much water as you possibly can, this is hard to beat. This is now what I use. And this is by far the best skipper as well for skipping under docks or under mangrove trees on a weighted hook. This thing skips. It's one of the better skipping lures I've ever used.
Yep. Hold them up real quick together, if you don't mind again. So one other question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one other question I saw. If you're watching this, if you can probably see a little bit of a color discoloration. They look a little bit different. And a few people have asked, well, hey, these don't look the exact same color. What gives? Well, they are. Like if you go look at the normal Minnow Z, it's the exact same color as all the other Slam Shadies. These scented ones from Z-Man have Procure on them. They're literally like dunked in it or sprayed. I don't know how they're doing it or brushing them on, and that will discolor it a little bit right out of the bag. I mean, you could see it. It gets on your fingers in a good way.
And after you use it, this still has some of the Procure on. After you use it, it'll obviously get back to the normal color. But that's the difference. And it's so small, there's not much of a difference.
Yeah, and we didn't know in the beginning about the whole Jerk Shad Z from Z-Man. Like we knew it would do well. It was crazy that sold out like in a day. And then we got some more sold out again. We have more coming, and that's all at fishstrong.com. So if you have it already, because we like the number one complaint we get is you guys are out of all this stuff or it sells out so quick. We have a little spot where under any product or entire store where you can get notified when it comes in, and you can either get notified by text, which I would do if I were you, or email. And I do the text. I personally buy this stuff. This is another reason I still have some of these left. Like I bought these myself. This is the scented Jerk Shad, and I've only used one. I'm afraid to use the rest of them because it's tough to get these things. This is like fishing with Bitcoin right now. So make sure to get on the notification list, because what we normally do is we get a lot of our deliveries at the end of the day. You know, FedEx and UPS usually come around 4 or 5 o'clock to our office. And then Carol's in there and she gets the inventory on, and she's usually triggering it that night. Just so you guys, little inside information here. Usually things are getting triggered at night. And so let's just say it's at 7 o'clock. Anyone who's on the notification list instantly is going to get a text message or an email, and they're going to have that advantage the entire night. And then normally the next morning at 9 a.m., let's just say, is when we take the things like live or send an email out or let all our members know. So just an easy way to always make sure, if you want something, to put your name on that list, on the notifications list, and obviously join our email, because we've had multiple times, like even the Daiwa Fuegos and TFO, it never even made it on social media. We only sent it to our insiders first, notification list, and then an email just to all of our normal subscribers. And anyone else missed out. They didn't even have a chance at getting it. So make sure to go to fishstrong.com and get on that notifications list. And of course, if you haven't claimed your free pack, you can still go to slamshady.com. Even if you're an insider member, we want to hook up anyone. And the reason is we believe in this stuff. We've invested a ton of time and ton of money into this whole Slam Shady color and name, and we know it works. I mean, it's what we personally use to go out there and catch our PBs, like everyone on this show has done for the most part. And we love for you to try pack. We know you're going to come back and buy more and eventually join us in the club just to save money. That guy Travis Anderson, remember, he had probably one of the coolest quotes. He's like, I had to join the Insider Club just to save money. I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars every quarter just on baits and tackles. Like, might as well save my 20%. And then he got inside. He's like, holy smokes, like this community is absolutely amazing. And all the how-to and the smart game plan video we do every single Friday, spot dissections, the insider reports, it just keeps pounding on and on. Like, Wyatt is about to post his big old personal best insider report. That's where we actually get on a map and show you where we were, show you exactly how we did it, how we positioned. I mean, literally everything from start to finish. It's like having a full-time fishing guide in your back pocket. So that is the story of the Slam Shady. What else you guys think? What else did we miss?
I was going to touch on the jerk shads a little bit as far as, when to use them. I plan on using these really soon because springtime's coming up. Yep. And the 4-inch is just a really good profile for that springtime because, the bait fish are going to be hatching. You're going to have, young bait fish out there. They're going to be smaller. That's what the fish are going to be going after. So once springtime rolls around, that 4-inch jerk shad will be a really good one to try out for redfish, trout, snook, all those predatory species.
Can you guys see this on the screen?
There it is.
Yeah, it is. That's Dave Flatt. If you're listening, this is a monster. I mean, just a thick red, caught here in the wintertime on that little 4-inch Slam Shady. There it is. Look at that. That's such a cool pick.
That's on that Texas eye jig head, that weed. That's another great way to rig those baits weedless. And I've actually been doing it. I've caught a couple fish on them recently. We have them in the shop, I believe, like 1/16 through like 1/4 ounce. I just picked up a bunch of 1/8 myself, but those rig up on the Z-Mans really, really well if you don't want to mess with those owner twist locks.
Love it.
Texas are awesome for the Z-Man ones. It's not so good for non-Z-Man just because, Joe, if you can knock off that screen share, I got one right here so we can show those who haven't seen it. But the Texas eye jig head, it's basically a worm hook that has a keeper point on the very top, right where the hook turns. In Z-Mans, it's just a really kind of it's a unique material where it's soft, but it's also super strong, where you can actually just like rip it across there. You feel like you're going to rip it, but it just doesn't rip. This stuff's super strong. But if you do a normal soft plastic, when you go around that hook point, that actually tears it. So that the normal stuff doesn't stretch like the Z-Man does. So it tears. So I don't use these for the traditional soft plastics. I love them for Z-Man. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't skip well. If you're skip casting, these don't skip good at all. Go to normal jig heads for skipping. Otherwise, buzzing over grass flats, buzzing over oysters, it is really, really good.
That's a big reason why I like the twist lock hooks, because I'm usually switching between Z-Man and then like our 2.0s and the Bomber. And like Luke said, some of those hooks that you would usually rig up Z-Man baits on, like swim bait hooks where they have the big weight on there, and then you have the keeper. And another one like the Mustad grip pin. Again, they have that big weight on there. Z-Man slides over it really nicely, but if you want to switch to a different bait like the Bomber, it'll most likely tear trying to get it over that weight. So that's just another reason why I like to use the spring hooks.
Yep. And I think another misconception is just with paddle tails for the wintertime. For years, I thought that I had to go like shrimp profile, or I had to go really small and like finesse, like the TRD, the little turd things. Paddle tails work great in the wintertime. I've been using a lot. Like when I'm having guests come in town who don't fish very much, I'm just putting on the Z-Man Paddle Z on a jig head so that I can go into areas that just has, the edges of the grass flats where there's all sorts of species, loading up on trout, but even quality fish too. Tony and I fished the tournament together. It was toward the end of last winter. A nasty cold front came through. We already decided we were doing artificial only in a tournament that we could use whatever we wanted. And so we told everybody we were only using the Slam Shady paddle tails. And it's like pressure was on and the conditions were terrible. The wind was like 20 to 30 out of the northeast, which was blowing all the water out of the Gulf. Cold front time, and we tied for first. We would have won first if I didn't feed Otis. We showed up just a little bit late, and we literally tied first place to like the 10th of the pound. It was crazy, but it was just a testament that even in the cold, nasty stuff, when you don't think a paddle tail should be used, they still work. They still work great. It's just a good all around lure.
And you guys were only using, right, the was it the 3 or the 4 minnow?
We had Tony was using the 4,
Okay.
the Z-Man 4. I was using the 2.0, the 3.5 2.0.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't really talked about that yet. The reason it's 2.0 is one, the 1.0, the original is the Z-Man Slam Shady. That's the original, the OG, the one that's basically outsold everything else. This is right there behind it now, this 2.0. Love it. It is scented. It's 3.5. So it was kind of fitting. At the time we had Z-Man came out with the Minnow Z, the minnows, whatever you guys want to call it, which is 3, and then the diesel minnows, which is the 4-inch. We wanted to have something that was kind of in the middle, of 3.5, that was super easy to rig. Because we did keep hearing that. It was, hey, I'm just having trouble rigging the Z-Man. And so we wanted something that was easy to rig, and it's scented, has an amazing scent to it. And when the tail gets bitten off, because it will over time, it will get taken off by something. It turns into a little nub jerk shad. It's crazy. I mean, we did that one video, Luke, where we were actually catching more fish. It was speckled trout. We were catching more without the tail. And in some cases caught 10 to 15 trout on one little stub before it finally gave way. So they're definitely not going to last as long as a Z-Man, but super easy to rig, and man, they just flat out work. So we had the 100 packs. We had so many people asking for 100 packs. We're going to have them back in. It's coming soon. It's just, everything's been so tough with COVID. We appreciate you guys' patience. No one is more frustrated than us. We have, just so you know, we have a little over $500,000 worth of pending orders out there with manufacturers like Z-Man and TFO and Daiwa, all of our favorites, and they just can't make enough. I mean, it's been so tough with just logistics and supply and getting anything done right now. Like for instance, with Z-Man, let's just use them as an example. I mean, if they have someone who comes down with COVID, which happens constantly now, I mean, legally, they have to shut the entire place down. Anyone who is around that person has to go out and take the day off or 2 and get tested, and then quarantine. If obviously they did get it, they got to clean the whole place out. And this is just this constant like momentum killer. And then you have issues just getting even just like bags and stuff. I mean, a lot of these bags are coming overseas, where even the baits might be made in America. Sometimes the bags are overseas in certain instances, and you can't get bags. Like there's been instances where manufacturers said, yeah, we actually got the product, but we don't have like the packaging for it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it has been absolutely completely chaotic. So one more reason, if you see stuff in our store, you better get it quick, because it is going fast, especially when we get those 100 packs of these back in. Those things always go really, really fast. And I'll let you guys have a little bit of advantage and buy it first. But I usually, if after a day, if there's still any left, I'm going there and buying myself. And we all, literally every person on this team has to go buy it with their own hard-earned money. We're all buying the stuff ourselves, still using our 20% insider membership discount off, but we're going and buying the same stuff you guys are. So that's all at fishstrong.com. And once again, if you haven't taken advantage of the Slam Shady offer, you can go do it. It is 1 free pack per person. We've had some really creative people out there who have tried to, let's just say, finagle the rules, if you will, and use different names and emails. We bust you every single time, and you do not get your money back, and we're not even sending your baits. So that is now part of our rules. Just so you know, we would gladly love to give every serious inshore saltwater angler in America a free pack, but it is only 1 free pack. Please don't take advantage of us. I mean, we literally lose money on this because we know you're going to come back and buy more. Please, please, please don't take advantage of us.
Yeah,
we've had a couple, like one dude got 10 packs, and tried to like use different email all to the same address. And another one had, I'm not going to tell you what they did because you get creative. But we bust them. We have someone who's like looking at this stuff every day as it goes out. And we just said, hey, too bad you're not getting your money back. It's part of our terms. You literally, cheated the system. So just be honest, do the right thing, and we'll gladly send you out a free pack.
Yeah, this isn't like one of those sleazy things where it's, oh yeah, free, but just pay shipping and handling. The shipping and handling is like $30, right? To send like a little small gadget. Like we're literally only just charging shipping, and it's the exact amount that we pay to ship.
First class shipping with tracking. You get a tracking number. Yes.
So we have to eat the cost of the lures, the packaging, all that stuff, and our employees' time on putting it all together. So just know this isn't like a kind of a sneaky way to make a profit. Like we're literally investing in you before you invest in us. Like we lose money on these things, but we know you're going to like it. We know that they're going to help you catch more fish, and we trust that you're going to come back and buy more and join the club.
Yep. Cool. Well, guys, this is helpful. Who's ready to go fishing? We'll take a little Slam Shady out.
Me?
Just I was about to say, just Austin?
Yeah, I've got everyone lined up right here, so now I guess I might as well put them to use.
Cool. Love it. Anything else, gents?
That I can think of.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my magnesium citrate and spend a little time with my TRDs. So, guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Make sure to come join us in the Insider Club and take advantage of this Slam Shady offer while we have it up. It won't be up forever. There's some point where we've just given away, enough to keep this constant flow. And we're getting close to that just because we can't even keep these things in stock. But at least for right now, as we're recording this, slamshady.com to claim your free pack. Otherwise, fishstrong.com to see our entire tackle store. And then, of course, join the Insider Club. It's a great way to save tons of money on tackle, not just from the discounts, but we're like the Consumer Reports. We're going out there and putting this stuff to the test. We're not a normal group that just recommends stuff. We're actually going out there with our own hard-earned money and using this stuff and then reporting back to you what works, completely unbiased, because we have rejected every single sponsorship that has come our way. Even Z-Man does not sponsor. We're not sponsored by Z-Man at all. It is just a partnership on a licensing deal, which is why we still have all kinds of lures in our store, not just Z-Man. So we always want to be completely unbiased and to be able to tell you guys and gals, here is the absolute best value right now. And we're going to do another one coming up soon on this whole Daiwa over Shimano. Daiwa has overtaken Shimano in terms of overall reel sales, and it's for a reason. I mean, their stuff, at least right now, as we're recording this, is just flat out better. In the past, we were big on Shimano, and I feel like they've dropped the ball. Their latest and greatest stuff, at least for these guys here, these who are out there in the water every single week using this stuff, it's just not there. So we're going to be doing an entire new series on that. I'm sure that will be a very controversial one because it's just like Ford and Chevy. You can never say right, but we have some very great instances on why we believe that and why right now we're very pro Daiwa, and we have obviously other stuff as well. But for us who were spending our own money on our own reels, I'm buying Daiwa right now.
Yeah, and as far as lines too, we're doing the fact that we're not sponsored. Yeah, we're unique in the fact that we go out and buy the stuff ourselves, right? Just like you do. But we go out and test it, right? So we're in it. If you don't catch more fish, we don't make money because that's our guarantee with our club, which funds everything. And so I've been testing out lines to the point where Power Pro has kept winning, and people have been saying, "Oh, you guys are sponsored by Power Pro. We're not sponsored by Power Pro." And I finally found a line that blew it away. And so I did a strength test with this new knot gauge I have.
Which is like $1,000 knot tester. This is not just like
more than that. It's just the scale alone is that, and then plus it has a motorized breaker now, so it's all like it's really as good as we could possibly get. And this line, I won't tell you what it is yet, as I'll leave a cliffhanger, but it's the 10-pound line that broke at 25 pounds, over 25 pounds, which is amazing. Power Pro has been pretty good at 22 has been the max I ever got with Power Pro. And that's after a lot of testing. This one, I've broke it just for like one test, and over 25 pounds is blew me away. And it's the same diameter as Power Pro. It's not like a diameter thing. So I'll do a casting test on that as well. But I just want you to know, like, that's what we do is we go out and test gear, to actually know, to help us and you know what the best actual value is.
Yep. Cool. Well, guys, this has been a good one. Hope that helps clears up a lot of questions on Slam Shady. You can go out there and buy it anywhere. Obviously, we hope you buy it from us. And of course, as Insider members, you get your nice discount on all the Slam Shady products. And I am certain by the end of the year, we will have more. So we're constantly trying to think of other ways to use this color, and we're a little bit different because we find something that works and like we go all in and until it doesn't work. And so far this thing just continues to keep working. And I love the fact that Slam Shady is killing it over in Australia, that there's anglers now saying this is my new favorite go-to color. And I was like, all right, it just keeps on working. Slam Shady strikes again, baby. Cool, guys. This has been good. Talk to you on the next episode. For those of you who are listening, make sure to go to saltstrong.com if you have any questions and find this episode. Leave us one at the bottom. It comes to all of us, and we will make sure to get back to you. Peace. We out.
Later.
Slam Shady.
Cause loves fishing.